Hi guys, Melissa here. Thank you so much for participating in that quiz. I really loved your answers and comments, especially the reasons behind your choice. So for this particular video, it's actually a follow-up to unpack some of the key insights you guys shared in that quiz. So let's go ahead and start with the first one. First and foremost, all the responses were 100% valid. It wasn't about whether it was right versus wrong. What each choice actually revealed was the tone and relationship that you have with the speaker or you wish to maintain with the person you're speaking with. So there's no wrong answer. All it comes down to, what are you comfortable with? Next, let's look at the communication style. For the second one, your choice in the quiz might actually reveal your communication style. What do I mean by that? Many of us like to naturally speak the way we like to communicate. So if you're comfortable being formal, you might have selected, I will send it by 5 p.m. If you gravitate towards informality, you might have leaned into, I'll send it over by 5 p.m. What you might not be aware of, your choice might have actually revealed your communication comfort zone, or it could be a style of speaking that you actually admire, or thirdly, you just felt that that was the right answer. If it revealed your communication comfort zone, then what I would say is that lean into that and be comfortable with who you are. Granted, though, there are going to be times when you have to edit yourself to fit the situation, which brings us to our third point. You can mix the formal with the informal. Here's the thing. How do you go about keeping your authenticity and who you are when you're conversing with somebody who has a different speaking style to you? What I would suggest is that you meet them halfway. So, for example, in the examples that we had, in the choices that you had, if I had somebody who preferred to use formal responses and I preferred to speak informally, I'd probably mix the two. So, in one of those responses, I could have probably said something like, "Oh, sure, James, I will send it by 5 p.m." That way, I use the casual opener with a formal statement. Formal statements can actually be softened with the tone, the body language, as well as casual phrases, and vice versa. Informal statements can actually be formalized with the tone, the body language, and formal words. So you get to use your preferred style of speaking while you're adapting yourself to the person that you're speaking to. However, it does bring up another question. Which style dictates the conversation? So the fourth one is power dynamic and need actually matter. In essence, it's very good for you to know your own communication style. However, if you are in a space of power, let's assume you are in a room with your boss or the CEO or an elder, or you actually need something from someone, then the best communication style to use is that of the listener, especially if you need their approval or response. So let's assume you have a boss who prefers to communicate formally and you need an urgent response from them. Then saying something like, I will send it by 5 p.m. and I look forward to your immediate response. Gold. Or if you have a colleague who prefers speaking casually, then you could send, I'll send it over by 5 p.m. And if you can, could you please get back to me as soon as possible? That would be gold. Those two responses are very good, because what you might not be aware of is, by you doing that, what you're inadvertently showing, and this is very subconscious, not many of us notice it, but we react to this, is that you've noticed what the person prefers. And so you're communicating to them in the way that they prefer. You then put them in a good mood, and they're more likely to communicate with you, cooperate with you, give you what you're looking for, as opposed to creating a bit of friction between you and this person. Which then brings us to the last point. So this last one, authenticity versus environment. It is very good for you to maintain your authenticity. However, it's also important for you to read the room. After all, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you are in a highly formal environment, ignoring formality can actually make you seem a bit arrogant. But at the same time, if you are in a highly informal environment, maintaining formality can make you seem stiff and distant. In fact, we have a phrase in English that goes, you can take the man out of the village, but you can't take the village out of the man, which goes on to describe somebody who's very inflexible. What you need to realize is that when you decide to remain inflexible, it might be that the person that you're actually hurting is you more than anybody else. So, what is the sweet spot? When it comes to communication, the art is to meet people halfway, adapt to the situation without losing yourself. After all, where you come from is important, but so does where you are matter. So, the overall takeaway from this whole long explanation is all three choices are actually correct. Your real skill is knowing when to stick to your natural style and when to adjust for tone, power, and context. In other words, read the room, watch your tone, and make adjustments that suit that particular moment. Here's my question for you. Do you speak the way you prefer or the way the situation calls for? Let me know in the chat down below.